Hello, I'm Donald Leggett, and welcome to the latest London South East CEO interview. I'm joined today by Katherine Roe CEO at Wentworth Resources, and she's giving us an operational update on gas production at Mnazi Bay, and no doubt talking about all things Tanzania. Welcome, Katherine.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you for having me this afternoon.
Now, let's start by asking you to sum up Wentworth Resources and their share of the Mnazi Bay gas operation in Tanzania.
So Wentworth is fundamentally a Tanzania domestic gas producer of natural gas. It is used for primarily for domestic power generation in Tanzania. And what we're really trying to do is support the country with our gas production to close that access to power gap that a developing country like Tanzania currently has, particularly with the demographic background and metrics of the country. So all our gas is for domestic use and is predominantly produced for power generation and some local industry. We produce our gas through the brand new gas infrastructure pipeline, which runs all the way from our concession, Mnazi Bay, in the south of the country, on the border between Mozambique and Tanzania, up to Dar es Salaam, the commercial capital of the country. And we have a 32% non-operated working interest of Mnazi Bay. We work very closely with our operator, Moral and Prom, and our other partner in the concession, TPDC, who is also our off-taker of the gas.
And how much gas are you actually producing on an annual basis at the moment?
So our current guidance for this year is 65 to 75 million cubic feet of gas per day. We have the ability to supply north of 100 million cubic feet per day with our existing 5 wells in the field. These wells have been performing, we've actually been performing well from that field since 2007, but since 2015, we've been supplying into that brand new gas infrastructure pipeline that I mentioned a moment ago. And we've seen production volumes increase since the start of production into the pipeline in 2015. And we are now experiencing stable, growing production.
Okay, so despite COVID-19, despite all the market turmoil around the oil price, Wentworth are still one of the few AIM-listed E&P companies to pay a dividend, almost 8%.
Yeah.
Now, that speaks volumes for the financial stability of the business. Discuss.
Well, thank you, Donald. And I think it's an excellent point. We are one of only 3 AIM companies in this sector paying a dividend. It's quite a thing. And I think it's even more of a thing for a single asset non-operated business to be able to commit to. And the reason we commit to it, and the reason that we've been able to continue with our proposed dividend policy and pay that second interim dividend against a very difficult macro backdrop and against COVID-19 and against oil price volatility and all of those things you highlighted, demonstrates to our shareholders our confidence, not just in the asset and the technical performance of that asset, but our confidence in Tanzania, our confidence in the commercial deliverability. We are getting paid regularly. We have a current situation with TPDC on our payments. We have low work program in the field, and we have not had to change our work program this year. Again, against a sea of capex cuts and a lot of delayed expenditure, we have maintained our budget exactly as we set out at the start of the year. We also repaid our debt fully at the beginning of this year, so we don't have any debt to repay, and that's what is allowing us. All of those things together are allowing us to build our cash and able to support and sustain that dividend, which, as you say, at 7-8% is a healthy yield.
Now, you run a very stable business, but unfortunately there are lots of things in country which are actually out of your control now, which might affect that wonderful stability we've been discussing. Your in-country receivables are cracking along and doing really well. But what happens if that goes wrong? What happens if some of the demand from the gas-powered electricity station projects are delayed or, heaven forfend, cancelled? What about politicians? Falling out with the politicians? Politicians get re-elected. You get someone who's not so favourable for gas.
There are challenges, absolutely.
Discuss those challenges for me.
So there are a number of challenges. I think it's worth trying to understand the bigger picture in Tanzania. So Tanzania is a developing country with energy access and cost-effective, reliable power at the top of the political agenda, regardless of which president and politicians are in power. Access to energy that's low cost, reliable, and available for all is at the heart of any country's development. And Tanzania has already demonstrated its commitment to that by the infrastructure projects that have been put in place, that are being built as we speak, and also in plans for the future. And that's not just the brand new pipeline, but it's the new power stations, it's the new distribution and transmission to evacuate that power around the country. It's the new gas processing facilities. So all of this is trying to increase the amount of power generation that the country needs to be able to support this growth that we see coming. And you've got to believe in the medium to long-term opportunities in Tanzania, and that it will grow and develop. And we're already seeing that. We're seeing the shift away from the agricultural base. We're seeing that shift more towards industrial. We're seeing some of these industrial projects getting off the ground, projects that have been on paper, on design for 40, 50 years, are actually now starting to get built. So we see Tanzania moving forward, and we believe in that. Yes, there are some of those challenges you mentioned, specifically in relation to the payments, where the historical track record of receivables really came from was TANESCO's difficulty in being able to generate power at a cost less than they can sell for. And this is what our stranded gas at Mnazi Bay has really changed that picture. That gas was stranded before the pipeline was built. That gas now is produced through the pipeline for power generation at Dar es Salaam, through those new power stations I just mentioned.
At an affordable price.
At an affordable price. So TANESCO has repaired its own balance sheet, is now able to generate power and sell to its customers, at least with a profitable margin, which trickles down. So they're able to pay TPDC, TPDC are able to pay us. So we don't feel any risk of payment risk, because we see the system working and the power's demanded, it's used, it's needed. And that's evidenced over the last 3 years of reliable payments. We've had every single payment in the last 3 years, every month. And so you can see that that really is working in a very tangible way.
Okay, you referenced sustainability in a lot of the work that you do, which is absolutely fascinating. What do you actually mean by sustainability, and why is it the cornerstone of the way that you do business in Tanzania? Tell all.
So what we really mean by sustainability is do we have a long-term sustainable business? You know, what are we actually trying to achieve? We are trying to achieve, we want to be part of the solution for Tanzania's development. We want to be a partner. We want to be aligned. We want to be involved. We want to do it in a sustainable way. So what that means is being a good corporate citizen, being a good operator, being a good company to do business with. As an international company operating in a developing world, that's absolutely crucial.
Is it important to you to be seen as Tanzanian?
In country, absolutely. You know, it's very important. And we have a team, we have a full team in Dar es Salaam. All of our team, with the exception of our country manager, is a Tanzania local. They're well educated, they're smart, they're capable. And that's where most of our human resources. It's a very, very light touch team here in the UK. And that's a deliberate, decentralized approach to focus our human resource in country, because we are ultimately a Tanzanian business. And in order to be successful, you have to have the right skill set in country. And that's what we believe we have. And as I say, I think it comes out in the tangible proof. You know, we are getting regular paid. The asset runs very well. We don't have any operational issues. We have very strong government relationships, and we have very strong in-country political capital, because we genuinely care and we genuinely are there as a presence rather than just paying it lip service.
And presumably come 2031 license renewal time, that's going to hold you in good stead.
Absolutely. We very much feel that that is a partnership approach. It has to be a partnership approach with the government. Mnazi Bay is the only concession in country with TPDC as a partner, as a joint venture partner, and it's a model that we would like to see replicated elsewhere around the country. Working with TPDC, aligning ourselves, we can provide some capital, we can provide some skills, but ultimately these resources are Tanzania resources, and we're just there to help develop and in turn deliver a return for all our stakeholders.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I have no problems with any of that. It makes absolute sense. Growth, which is a tricky one. We need a bit of growth to kickstart the share price. So where's that going to come from? Let's split it up into organic growth first of all. What's the organic strategy to grow Mnazi Bay?
So organic growth will come from our existing reserves. So we are currently supplying around 60-70% of our maximum supply capability with the existing 5 wells in the field. So as a result of some of the workover program we completed at the beginning of this year, we now have the ability to supply over 100 million cubic feet per day. And as I say, we're currently supplying around 60-70%. So we have a near-term opportunity to increase our supply when the demand materializes. And that's without any further capex, without any further infrastructure work required. So that's an immediate uplift.
It's a very interesting question. Therefore, given that you've got so much uplift in hand, are you interested in fresh exploration around the Mnazi Bay?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a lot of.
You'd go for it?
We would go for it, but it's timing. It's timing.
What's the timing looking like at the moment?
And balancing capex with demand materializing is the art.
Is it too soon?
Not the science. It's too soon right now, but it may be coming in a few years.
Okay, and potential acquisitions, is that another thing that you might be looking at? You've looked at other projects where the numbers haven't added up. Are there some decent distressed assets out there at the moment? Are you seeing them in Tanzania, in Mozambique, in East Africa?
Definitely, where there are this level of crisis that we've seen, there are always some opportunities that rise to the top. We have looked at a few, and there are some interesting opportunities. It's got to be right for Wentworth shareholders, and the timing has got to be right. And we've got to be very conscious of the current valuation of our asset, which we believe is way below, obviously, our core net asset value. So we have some challenges such as those when we look and we analyze opportunities.
Oh, does that make it difficult for you to finance these opportunities?
Well, whilst protecting and preserving our existing shareholders' investment, that's what matters to us. You know, we are not going to do something that may destroy value for shareholders. It has to be accretive, and that's more of the challenge, I would say, than funding. Having said all of this, what I think this sector has been through in the last 3 to 4 months, it is a real sense of who are the survivors and who are the ones that unfortunately are not going to survive. And I don't put Wentworth in either of those categories. We're more than a survivor. This is our chance to actually take advantage of opportunities.
Well, you're the winner, definitely.
We have the opportunity to be so. I believe that. Yeah.
I have no doubt of that. Now, would you just look at Tanzanian acquisition opportunities? Is it just Tanzania?
It's mainly Tanzania focused. You know, this is what we're good at. We are good at Tanzania. We know our way around. There are challenges, but we understand them. We navigate them well. We have this strong in-country political capital I mentioned. We have great relationships, and we have a track record, and we can be trusted.
Are you less an explorer, more a developer, and then a producer?
We would like to explore. We would certainly like to explore. So I would say we're capable of all of that. And we do have ambitions to explore further in Mnazi Bay concession, because we see some very low-hanging opportunities just within our existing block.
You must know Mnazi Bay pretty well by now.
Yeah, we know Mnazi Bay pretty well, and it's beautiful, and it's for a relatively virgin reservoir, it's performing exceptionally well.
It does appear to be, doesn't it? Cost savings and fiscal prudence. Okay, they're critical in this tough new environment. What has Wentworth been doing to address costs?
Absolutely. A cost-effective business is really at the heart of our strategy. This has been evidenced by the restructuring and the redomicile of the business to reduce the complexities of the business, the number of jurisdictions, and we did have a dual listing as well. So we have undertaken an entire restructuring over the last few years with a view to reducing our ongoing costs of running the business. We have a low work programme in the field. We also have a very lean team. I am the only UK full-time employee, and I also do a CEO role and CFO role. So I'm personifying this strategy of real cost efficiency. We do have an in-country team, which is the heart of our resource. We have our finance function, our government relations, and everything we need in Tanzania really underpins the fundamentals that we're now experiencing. So the regular payments, the good relationship with our operator and our partners, the government relationships that we enjoy, and the stability of our operations. It is all testament to that team and that on-the-ground presence. That is absolutely critical if you are a international company operating in the developing world. And in Tanzania, it's really, really critical for us to be seen, to have our team in Tanzania. And so decentralizing away from where the PLC sits is part of our strategy. It also lends itself to a more efficient cost structure.
Okay, finally, sum up for me, why should institutional and retail shareholders hold your stock? Why would I buy Wentworth stock, essentially?
I think Wentworth gives you exposure to the Tanzania opportunity, first and foremost. So my first point would be, if you believe in the medium long-term opportunities that Tanzania will grow, and you're looking at a country with a 60 million people population that's predicted to reach 137 million by 2050. So if you believe in this, it's the 6th largest country in sub-Saharan Africa. The demographics speak to the energy consumption need growth opportunity. So Wentworth provides you with a high quality, well-run business exposed to Tanzania. I think my second point is that we are a genuine ESG friendly story in a very difficult space that's moving more and more and more away from traditional carbon intensive solutions and to more lower carbon, zero carbon, and an evolution of our entire energy sector. So I think Wentworth still has a very key part to play, with natural gas being a transition fuel. And my third one would be, I believe we have quite a unique opportunity to deliver capital and income growth. And for a small company in this space, that's really unique. We can give income growth through a dividend that we will most likely look to, well, we certainly will maintain and possibly improve if we can, depending on cash and how production performs. And we also believe we can deliver capital growth because of all the opportunities you've talked about. And I think that's a very unique opportunity.
Katherine Roe, that's absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Donald.
My pleasure. For more interviews like this one, please subscribe to the London South East YouTube channel. Thank you very much indeed for watching. And my final thought, please do stay safe.